The first component of the administrative scale is a long-term goal. Definition. Goal is a known objective toward which actions are directed with the purpose of achieving that end. L. Ron Hubbard. That's the definition of a long-term goal. Let's take a more profound look with examples and all the rest. Now look. Let's suppose that I've often asked business owners, what do you want? What do you need from your business? What is it? You know what he tells me? What do I need? Money is what I need. What's the deal with asking me this question? Basically, one could agree with that, and that makes sense. By definition, business is the making of profit. But there is an interesting point here. Now tell me, are you a buyer of various goods and services, etc.? Of course. And very often I'll ask people, I'll say, now tell me, you're a buyer, and when you come to the store, where do you get the money from? And he'll say, from my wallet. And I say, well, all right, but how did they get into the wallet? And he says, they gave it to me at work in accounting. And I say, all right, but how did they get to accounting? And he says, probably they came from the cash register or something like a checking account. I don't know. And I say, all right, and how did they get to the company's cash register or the banking account? And then the person gets it. That, of course, it's because our client paid us for the goods and services that we sold. So look, all the bills that we pay in our lives are payable because of our clients. That's an interesting point, isn't it? Of course, that's an obvious conclusion, but I assure you that most people don't even think about it. Especially this applies to employees. They will say, where? Oh well, over there. The company somehow magically has some money, and where it gets the money is not really my business. I'm just here from 9 to 5 and that's enough for me. Alright, but let's take a look. If the business owner answers the questions and he says, I want to be a millionaire or a billionaire or a multimillionaire, whatever. Everyone has their own axe to grind and bone to chew, but that's not what we're talking about now. So, he wants to become a millionaire and earn all the money there is. So, now he walks out in front of his target audience and says, Dear ladies and gentlemen, you know, my long-term goal is that I want to become a millionaire. And his whole target audience will get down into the blocks like a sprinter and say, okay, tell us what to do. We're ready. We should bring you the money. Is that what will happen? Probably it will be the exact opposite. But what am I trying to tell you? I want to say that the long-term and basic goal of the person or the group is a goal that, first and foremost, he has to be in agreement with himself. But if it's a business, then his target audience, the people who he mostly deals with, has to be in agreement with it as well. You know, the people do. And obviously business is team, collective work, our work, and employees work in a company. So employees have to agree with it as well. And they will, you know, often, very often. People don't work for the money, but it's important to them to have some sense of belonging to a positive theta group, you know? I use the word theta. Do you remember it? So theta is life. It's what makes things move. A thetan makes the body move, and the thetan puts our whole life in motion. The same goes for business. If the owner got creative and thought up a company that has theta and very positive goals, then a lot of competent people will join into these goals as staff and as clients, which is exactly the point we had to prove. Let's take a few examples of some very successful companies that all of you are familiar with, and I'll comment on them. The company BMW, to give people pleasure from driving. Disney, using imagination to bring happiness to millions. And here's IKEA, improving each and every day of many people. We make this possible by offering a wide assortment of functional products for furnishing and decorating the home. Well-designed products at a cost so low that the maximum number of people could afford it. The company Apple, make a contribution to this world by developing the king of appliances to aid the human mind, which will accelerate the development of mankind. Do you see the kinds of long-term goals there are in successful companies? If you look at how these goals are formulated, then you will see that as a general rule, this formulation takes in the maximum number of dynamics. In its long-term goals, Apple says directly, mankind. Tell me, who's going to oppose the goal of Apple? Name at least one person for me. You won't find one, I can assure you, except possibly the competition that could attack the company out of their own vested mercenary interests. But I can tell you for sure that the vast majority of people on Earth will agree with this goal. So, here's the conclusion. The more theta and positive the goal in your company, the long-term goal, the more you're entitled to receive that very same profit. Because more people will agree with your goal, which means more trust in your company, and where there is trust, there is money. That's the arithmetic of it. Let's say that a person, a business owner, decides to manufacture furniture and does manufacture it, but not just furniture, only kitchen suites and nothing else. Here's a question. Why do you manufacture kitchen suites specifically and not, couches or bookcases or something else? Is there more profit in it? What incited you to start manufacturing and selling this specific product? And when you keep asking and asking and asking the person, do you know what we uncover at the end? It turns out that some long time ago, back in childhood, he was a little boy and he was in the kitchen with his big family. And since that time, he retained the memory of his big family gathering specifically in the kitchen. And it was so pleasant there, so comfortable, that it was in this period of his life that he made a consideration. He decided that, wow, look, wouldn't it be great if everyone had it just as comfortable in their kitchen as we did? And it turns out that the goal to manufacture kitchen suites was not first and foremost a financial goal. He wanted to create that comfort and family coziness for the maximum number of people in the kitchen, specifically. There you go, the basic long-term business goal. The money will come. The first thing you need is a clear, understandable, long-term, basic goal.